Okay, let's talk about a couple quick circle equation types of problems that you could see. So the first thing we want to talk about is here we have standard form of a circle. This is going to be a popular form that you're going to be using when you're working with these problems. We have a special case, x squared plus y squared equals r squared, but that only happens when our circle is centered at 0, 0. And notice that both of these equations are generated from the Pythagorean theorem, which you should have already gathered from the deriving task. H and K are the center of my circle, and R is the radius. All right, so let's look at some examples. Identify the center and the radius of each equation. So just to remember, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where h and k are the center and r is the radius. So the big thing to remember is we have these negatives already built into the equation. So if you see a positive, that would suggest that your h value was negative because it has a negative and a negative make a positive. So for this guy, I'm looking at the positive 3 and the negative 1. So my center would be negative 3, positive 1. So it's like the opposite of what you see. 25 is equal to r squared. So r would be the square root of 25, which is 5. For this next one, we don't have anything being added to the x, but we could also say that we have x minus 0 within the parentheses, and that x squared was just simplified from x minus 0 squared. So your center would be 0, comma, I have a positive 5, so the opposite of positive 5 would be that I substituted a negative k value, and so negative 5 was my k value. 49 is my r squared. That means the square root of 49 will equal r. R is equal to 7. Okay, for the C, we have the center is negative 2, it says x minus 2 squared, y plus 8 squared. So the opposite of that would be a positive 2 and a negative 8. And the square root of 72 would be your r value. And that's okay to have a square root of 72, but it's kind of hard to conceptualize what that actually looks like on a circle. And I could reduce the radical by saying that it breaks down to 36 and 2. So the square root of 36 times the square root of 32, so that'd be 6 root 2. And this might be an answer that you get on your calculator. All right, we can also substitute our values into the equation. Remember the equation x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. And when I substitute these values in, I'm going to have a positive 3 and a negative 6, so that's going to become x minus 3, it's the opposite of what you see, and y plus k. And by k, I mean y plus 6. Since the radius is 12, the radius squared would be 144. So these should be fairly simple problems that you see when asked to identify the center and radius and asked to go the other way when plugging in the center and radius into the equation.